wedding of yours when you threw earrings out into the.
Oh my goodness, really?
I have
Yeah,
it.
that was tough. That was very, very tough for all of us. We were kind of for me, I was very, it was just kind of like mechanical, felt like a robot zombie. I couldn't feel emotion. And it just really, I was sick, not well with that, holding the emotions. I didn't know how to mourn him, because it was just such a shock because he had plans. We were in touch. We saw him 4 or 5 weeks before he passed away. His last words to me were, I said, I love you, because I was supposed to go to Paisley Park and spend time with him, new music. And he says, I love you too. So those were his last words. And then, 6 weeks later, it was stunning, shocking.
And like you couldn't tell, like sometimes people say, oh, I mean, in hindsight, it's 2020, of course, but sometimes people are saying, oh, wow. And you go and you replay like the last meeting with someone, like nothing seemed off to you.
Oh, we felt that he was not 100%. He seemed a little thinner. I knew that, as we age, we get thinner and older, of course, our faces change. And I could just tell that he just wasn't 100%. So I had, asked how he was and everything. And 6 weeks after that, he was gone. And it was shocking to us because, we just saw him. And he was making plans when we were with him. You got to do this. You got to do that. This is what we're doing. We got to move here. We're going to move there. A, B, C, D. And we're like, okay, got it. And I had already been in touch with him probably I've been in touch with him all my life. I think the only time we weren't in touch was when he was married to Manuela Testolini for maybe 3 years. I didn't hear from him. But he was always calling, or I'd call him. But we were in touch till, the last 6 weeks. After that, I didn't hear from him anymore because I was supposed to go to his house and then bring Susan and Brenda. We were going to go and just have a nice time, feed him and play basketball and then record something new. We didn't make it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, in a few minutes, we're going to talk about your new podcast, and we're going to bring Seth on, and we're going to talk about everything you have in the future. So I want to talk about music too. 2 points before we get there. So, speaking about people that are not always happy, a few years ago, you made these headlines, Apollonia slam Sheila E. It was right after like Prince passed. And, you just said like, that she was profiting off of his death. And I mean, you said a lot of other things. And I'm asking not even as a media journalist, just as a huge Prince and like part of the whole thing, like, since the beginning, like what was that all about? And
it's self-explanatory. It's right there. I don't have to repeat it. I wrote it. That's how I feel. As family, when you have a sister, you have differences. I don't approve of the behavior of some people. And that behavior wasn't just towards Prince, but it was towards me. I am very giving. I do a lot for my sisters. And I just felt that behavior was inappropriate prior to Prince's passing and then post Prince's passing. So I spoke, and I spoke the truth. And I can give a shit what anybody thinks. That's just me. It's the truth. And, God spoke to me, and I really thought about what I was going to say. And I was just very hurt. And like I said, I don't have any regrets, and I forgive. I'm very forgiving, but at the same time, I forgive people. But because of the toxic environment that people create, I don't allow those people in my life. Life is too short. So I have really lovely people that are supportive, that are honest, and that appreciate, I guess, the woman that I am for who I am, Patricia Kotero, and not because of the Apollonia stigma facade. So, yes, I said what I had to say.
And no regrets. And I mean,
No.
I assume you haven't heard from anyone since, and life has moved on.
And that's okay. Like I said, it's just the truth. And you can't when you talk about the truth, someone's going to get hurt. you can't make people happy all the time. So, and most of my life, I was a people pleaser, you know, and now that I'm grown up, I just look at things realistically, as painful as they are. So, you know, I'm very forgiving, but at the same time, there are people that I just don't want in my life anymore.
I get it. I mean, I live life the same way. Once you kind of get there, you're just like, life is very easy and there's no drama, and just,
Right,
this is my truth. This is the truth. And I'm just going to say it.
right,
And not everyone needs to be in my life,
right.
and
It's just
no harm.
keeping it simple. You really think about life today is just keep it simple. Things are so difficult, you know, in the world that we're living in today with the pandemic and so much happening in the world. Do we really have to waste our time tearing each other apart like that? I'd rather just, you know, just like I said, stick to family.
That makes a lot of sense. Before we invite Seth on, what about, how do you feel? Like, I know Prince's estate just recently got settled amongst, like, you know, the
Mhm.
6 siblings. And I mean, how do you feel about that? And like, I mean, is the legacy of Prince there? I mean, has it all become like a business now of everyone wanting to get their hands on, you know, how do you feel about Paisley Park? It's open to the public. I've been to Paisley Park. I'm just curious.
Well, it's a better place now. I'm hopeful. There are new entities now that are involved with the two siblings that are there now. Unfortunately, the rest of the siblings aren't there anymore, and that happened to be because of the entities that were there before, Comerica and Frederickson and Byron, that represented the bank. And I have to honestly say that they were the worst uh, entities to enter Paisley Park. There was a lot of damage done, a lot of people hurt, and myself included. And it looks like the fight is over. So I am grateful that they're gone, because it's a bank. They don't know Prince, and the bank was doing a lot of damage to a lot of innocent people. Morris Day, myself, others. So I don't know if that situation is over yet, but I'm happy that we have a new entity, Primary Wave and Londell McMillan. So everybody's hopeful that everything is going to be back to the way that we should have had it at the start. And that is just doing the right things that Prince wanted to do, and not to do them just for the sake of, you know, monetary gain. At the beginning, the monetary gain had to be to pay taxes on the estate because there wasn't a will left. So, and that's understandable. But when you have an entity that comes in and they behave, and I'm going to say it, they behave like Nazi Germany. And I'm saying that publicly today. That's how they behaved with a lot of us. And it was just, we were so damaged by losing Prince. And then they came after and started pulling out daggers. And that was just unacceptable. And the damage was done to a lot of us. But we picked ourselves